Alright, back again. Just did a video about the church. You may have seen it, you may have not. Got my daughter with me again. I walk with her almost every day, pretty much every day. I love walking with her, spending time with her. I love, I just love spending time with her, love holding her. It's crazy how much or how fast she's growing. But yeah, so I wanted to touch again, man, on the whole church deal, because I can't make just one video in a nutshell and really sum up everything that I can't really sum up everything that is talked about when it comes to the church and what it looks like and whatnot. And so right now, I'm in a transition period right now, and it's weird because I feel like I'm in transition periods more than anything in life. I mean, I think we all are in some way or another, but man, specifically when it comes to where I'm at with the church and with with meeting with other believers and stuff like that. So what I would say is, it's getting real frustrating, man. I'm finding it real frustrating, because it's like, okay, if we Christians, right, or if you say, okay, I'm a Christian, right, and if we sit down and have a conversation about the church, hopefully we should have some general idea of what the church is, right? But it's so frustrating because a lot of times, man, that's not the case. And it's a lot of the westernized version of Christianity, which is, man, a lot of it's so far away, man, from Christ that it's sometimes almost laughable. It really is almost laughable. And so on one hand, I try to be pretty gracious, man. I try to be understanding that people have grown up in certain situations. They've been taught certain things. So I'm sensitive to that, man, because I used to be the same way, until I learned for myself. But now knowing what I know, man, that's why I talk about this stuff to people, because people either don't know, or they know and don't care, or don't think that it's important to understand. So that's why I talk about it. And it's frustrating because, it's like when it comes to meeting with other believers, the first thing is always, oh, what church do you go to? I had a guy coming to, I was in a bookstore with my wife. And I had a guy come up to me, man, and my wife, he came and talked to me and my wife. And, he was a good brother, man. He was a good dude. I know he meant real well. I think he meant real well. I don't think, he was trying to be, I don't think he was trying to be, bashing or anything in any kind of way. I didn't feel that. I didn't sense that. But I was just taken aback that, he said, he was a Christian. I felt that. But at the same time, at first we were talking about books, and then all of a sudden, he kind of spun that into a conversation about church. And he was like, oh, come to my church. And so I was like, and what he asked, he's like, come to my church. And then he asked, like, do you have a church home? And I said, and I straight up told him, I said, we basically don't have the quote unquote church home. Like that, we don't have a building to say, okay, we go to such and such building on such and such street. Like, no, we don't have that. And so it was kind of frustrating because I could tell that his whole understanding of the church is based off of westernized, institutionalized Christianity. And like I said, he means well. I respect him for that. I thank him for that. But it's just frustrating at times, man, because it's like when you talk to other believers, they assume because you don't go to a building that you are not a part of the church, or because you don't go to a building that you're not being led, or you're not being fed, or you're not being, you know, and, you know, oh, well, who's your pastor? That's another one. And I got so many scriptures about that whole deal. Leadership, church leadership. That's, oh my gosh, man, that's, I won't even get into that for the sake of, I only have enough time. It would take me a whole day to talk about that. I don't have enough time on this video. But anyways, so it's frustrating because it's like, man, you're trying to find community, you're trying to find a group of like-minded believers, and it's hard because the believers, a lot of believers have a certain idea about church and a certain idea about how things should go, which a lot of it, most of the time, does not go according to scripture. And I cannot sit back and just know what scripture says about the church and about leadership and be a part of anything like that, because it's so, I don't want to say anti-biblical, but it's so, I mean, it's missing the point, man. It's missing the point. It could be better. I'll just say it could be better. And I wouldn't be frustrated if people, Christians, believers, whatever, if they were more open about learning and growing in their faith as far as understanding the church and whatnot. I wouldn't be as frustrated if they were open to that. But a lot of them, man, it's almost Pharisaic in a way. It's like the Pharisees. It's like, you know, they're stuck in a lot of tradition, a lot of man-made ideas about who God is, who Jesus is, what the church is. Got to reposition. Hold on. She heavy. Sorry. So yeah, man, just a lot of it's just a lot of that, man. I mean, but you know, if you belong to a church, I'm not saying that you have to leave. I mean, you obviously you have to search God for yourself. You have to seek God for yourself and pray and really, I say, man, really study the scriptures, man, because your mind gonna be blown when you find out that a lot of what you're being taught is either not biblical or, man, it's taken out of context heavily. And I think Christ would want us to live a much more simpler life, a much more simpler life. So I think that yeah, man, if you just do your research, you know, look at the word, see what it says, man. It's a lot of stuff that's being fed to so many people every week, and instead of searching for themselves, man, they relying on one person to tell them what they need to do and how they need to do it. And that's not even biblical. You know what I'm saying? The believers in the Bible, man, they didn't just, you know, willy-nilly take anybody's word. No, man, they straight up, if you didn't come correct, they corrected you. And in scripture, we are commanded to correct one another in love, admonish one another, teach one another. And most churches do not embrace that idea. They just don't. What's up, baby?
Hi.
All right, I gotta go. My wife here, looking good. All right.
Here you go.
All right, peace out.
Bye.
All right, gotta go. Auf Wiedersehen, people. Human Earl. Gotta go.